Good evening, adventurers, and welcome back to the maze. I am the master of mazes, and with me, as always, is the apprentice.
Hello.
We would like to welcome you all back. We hope that you are enjoying this content. We would love it if you would share this with your friends, like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and drop us some comments down below. Let us know you're out there, and let us know what you like, don't like, and if there's anything you'd like to see as far as us adding to the content, because we are still growing. We would be happy to accommodate you. So let's jump right in. We've we had our Daggerheart session two, or actually session one, because we had a session zero.
Mm.
So we had session one last Friday, the Friday before Thanksgiving. That was a lot of fun. This is only our second game at the table, so really one and a half games, because the first half of session zero obviously was character creation. But we had a good time with it. They made their way through the very first adventure that I had set aside for them, which was kind of a haunted mansion run and kind of a murder mystery that they had to kind of delve into and then find a way to break a curse. So we had a lot of fun. Um, we're still learning the game mechanics, so there's a lot to kind of pick apart there. But we have a recap up over on our website.
Mm-hmm.
It is part one of a two-parter. I'm putting the second part together and should have that posted the next day or two because we ran into a lot of things, and just because there's so much role play involved, there's a lot to describe so that you guys aren't shortchanged in the recap. So I split it into two so it wouldn't be too long a read.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have a link for that in the description for you to go over and check it out. But what's new in sci-fi series? Pretty excited. Stargate is getting a new series. I am a big Stargate fan.
Yep.
I love the original movie with Kurt Russell. I loved the Stargate series uh, with with all the characters that were in it. I love the fact that it was not a recreation of the movie, but rather it kind of picked up where the movie left off.
Mm.
And I think it was great. I think it ran a little long. I hated to see some change up with some of the characters, but I think they did a good job with it. They brought in a new cast of characters near the end. Stargate Atlantis wasn't quite as big a fan of that show as I was Stargate SG-1, but I did like Stargate Universe. Unfortunately, it only got two seasons and it ended on kind of a cliffhanger. But
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, that is the way of things when you have a science fiction channel or a science fiction show on a non-science fiction channel.
Yeah.
They don't tend to get it if ratings flag. They look at how much it costs to produce and they let it go. But I think the Stargate universe is definitely one that definitely bears getting back into, and it's really great
It,
to see that Prime. Yeah,
it's so
it's great.
underrated. Like it's
It
wild to
is.
me. Like I when I talk to people about sci-fi, pretty much if it's not 40K, Star Wars, or Star Trek, nobody knows what it is. So like
They really
when
don't.
I mean, start for me at least, like growing up in the house, like Star Trek was, or sorry, Stargate was like the sci-fi show we watched.
Yep.
And like obviously we watched everything, but like that was a weekly thing. I mean, I loved that show. It was so cool. I remember when
Yep.
the Stargate MMO was a possibility. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so sick. Imagine exploring the universe and doing all this stuff. And of course, that never happened. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that IP come back at all. I mean, it seems like it's
Oh, yeah.
kind of been under the radar for years and years.
It has. I mean, with the Stargate concluded, they had a couple of made-for-television movies to kind of wrap up some things, which were they were good. They were well made. I did like the fact that Modipus put out a Stargate SG, or they put out a Stargate role-playing game, which was fun.
Hmm.
I haven't really played it much. I do have the book and have kind of read through it, so it looks like it would be something fun to play if I could find a group of players willing to play it. Maybe my Fallout group can play it. I do like the fact that Prime Video is giving this a chance, so that means that big budgets and special effects won't be a problem. Hopefully, they will leave Martin Gero alone. He was a producer and a writer for a lot of the episodes in the past for the series. So he is very familiar with the Stargate universe, and I think he's a good person to be at the helm of it.
Hmm.
So I think if they let him kind of just take his creative vision and run with it, I think there's a lot of potential here. So we'll have to see where that goes, but definitely something that's on our radar.
I will
And
say, like the Prime Video and Hulu's of the world have a better track record of just kind of letting a creative head just do their thing, whereas
right,
Netflix has the opposite reputation right now,
yeah,
especially with like The Witcher and all these shows that they've
yeah,
just kind of butchered and they've changed everything. And So hopefully, the fact that if it was on Netflix, I would be worried already. Uh,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fact that it's going to Prime, there's been like I think wasn't The Expanse on Prime? Is that a Prime show?
It was. It started out as a Sci-Fi Channel
And
show,
then went to Prime or something.
and yeah, then it went over to Prime.
There's been a few
And
pretty good sci-fi shows on Prime already. And I mean,
yeah,
the good thing about Prime is that everyone has it because everyone's on Amazon, right? So
right,
it's
right.
not a subscription that it's like Paramount that like many people are like, oh, my show's got my Landman's not on. Okay, whatever. They move on. It's just more accessible on Prime Video than like any other
Yeah.
streaming platform. So
Well, it's definitely going to be available to more households. So if they can get people to tune in and watch, I think they will have a hit on their hands.
uh,
We'll just have to wait and see what they do with it.
what's the last
I know that.
big sci-fi show like that was large? You know, I can't think of one.
I mean, right off top of my head, I mean, The Expanse was really good.
The
That was
Expanse was
recent.
good, and that's like the only. I mean, because like I would
I mean,
say,
Battlestar Galactica's been gone for years. They've talked several times about rebooting it or trying to do a spinoff, but the way you ended it with them sending their ships into the sun and half of the cast are angels or possibly replicants. I mean, it's just, I think that show, I think the remake of Battlestar Galactica lost its way. Um,
yeah,
and
it did.
the last couple episodes were so confusing, nobody knew what was going on. My wife is a big Battlestar Galactica fan. And when we sat there and watched that last season, we're like, what in the hell are we
Yeah,
watching?
when I think about like the last big like Game of Thrones level sci-fi show,
Mm-hmm.
all I can think about is Battlestar Galactica. When I
Oh,
remember when that show came out, sitting down with y'all, and
yeah.
I didn't watch the original series until
Original.
later,
Right.
like until
Okay.
after. And I remember all of us sitting around and y'all are explaining to me who these people are and what's going on, and
Right.
that seemed like a big deal. I didn't stick around till the end, but that seemed like a big deal. I mean, even the bigger IPs like Star Trek, I mean, they had the Strange New Worlds on Paramount that I liked. I liked that show,
I like it. Yeah.
but it's not a huge crowd. You know, it seems like not a lot of people are talking about it. So it's like it'd be
Well,
cool to have a how realistic is it? I don't know, but like it'd be cool to have a Game of Thrones level sci-fi show, like an epic sci-fi show. I mean, I don't.
I mean, if you want to talk about an epic sci-fi show, and I'm going to throw this one out there. I don't know how familiar you are with it. Is Babylon
I
5.
knew you were gonna say Babylon 5. Yeah, that's
Babylon 5
yeah,
was a fantastic series. I
yeah.
have watched that series through from beginning to end
Mm,
probably a dozen times, and it never gets old.
mm,
The depth of the characters, the fact that in season one you are foreshadowing things that are going to happen in the final season,
yeah,
that the writers have thought that far ahead was incredible to me.
yeah.
The characters were amazing. Just the lore, the stories, everything was
Mm.
incredible.
I remember the VHS box set of that show, like on your
Yeah.
TV center, like my whole life. I just remember seeing
Yep.
that all the time.
Yeah. I've
That's
got it
really
on.
that's like
Got
the
it on
deep cut
Blu-ray.
sci-fi show that like sci-fi nerds are like, this is the one that if we could make something mainstream, we would want people to watch this one. It's
But see,
usually that one.
the funny thing is Babylon 5 did okay
Hmm.
in syndication. The problem was they tried to spin it off, right? And the very first spin off was I can't remember which one came first, if it was Excalibur or the Rangers. I want to say it was Excalibur,
Hmm.
and Excalibur wound up running. It didn't even get a full season. I think they aired maybe 6 or 8 episodes,
Hmm.
and it kind of ended with the storyline wide open. I thought that was a good series. Not as good as Babylon 5, but it was a good series. The fact that it was in the same universe with some of the same characters was kind of cool. Uh, they did they did Babylon Legend of the Rangers, which was a made for television movie that was supposed to be the pilot episode that would spin off into following an older starship with the Rangers on it, and then they're fighting the shadows and things like that. It never made it past the pilot. The pilot did not do well. I thought it was a good series, but I think they tried to deviate too far away from what made Babylon 5 so popular. So
Hmm.
it didn't land. So that's sad because there's a lot of meat on that bone, and I think that you could come back now with the way Babylon 5 ended. You could come back and say, okay, well maybe now there's 100 years in the future there's a Babylon 6,
Hmm.
or maybe not even a Babylon station. Maybe it's a Minbari station, or it's a Federation of Planets station, or what have you. there's a lot of things that they could do with it with the right people at the helm. And I think J. Michael Straczynski is still interested in doing something in the future. So, and he's pretty popular now. So if
Hmm.
you put him behind the helm of it, it would definitely sell. So that's one that you could throw out there for that. But anyway, let's move on. We're going to get into TTRPG news, and I am super excited to hear this past week. It has been announced that Ed Greenwood, the creator of the Forgotten Realms, is going to return to the realms. Unfortunately, not um, in an official capacity with Wizards of the Coast, but he is going to be penning 4 books that will release in 2026. That's when they'll start to release. I don't know if they'll all be released in the same year, but he's going to put out 4 books. Basically, the Realms Unbound, and basically what that's going to do is he's going to go in to detail on different areas of the realms. And the very first series is going to be a 4 book series, and it will be based on the Dalelands. I have seen some negative commentary on some of the D&D boards. People are like, "Well, why the Dalelands? He's already given us the Dalelands. I have a book over here about the Dalelands." Well, yeah, you do, but if Ed is going to start anywhere in the Forgotten Realms, why not start with the place that he first originally created when he was a young man? Well, he was a child actually. Started at 5 and 6 creating this, but I would think the Dalelands is the perfect place for him to start. That's where Elminster was. That's kind of the heartlands of the Forgotten Realms, and you can work your way out from there. So I am excited for it. I know that there's quite a few people out there that are excited for it. I'm hoping that it does well, and I hope Ed all his success in the world. He deserves it, especially after he kind of got he and Watsy have parted ways. So anyway, we are looking forward to those books, and we'll have a link in the description here for you guys to check that out.
Hmm.
Stephen, you wanted to talk about some magic sets that are coming out next year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're on the Wizards topic. There's a bunch of stuff going on at Magic the Gathering. We keep, or me, both of us do, but I kind of keep my ear to the ground in terms of the trading card game scene. There's a lot going on right now, but Magic, which has had success commercially, I think, but I think recently
Definitely have.
the diehard Magic players are a little sick of the universes beyond, which we've talked about in episodes before, where it just seems like
Yeah.
that they are catering to the big ticket. Who's making the most money? Okay, people want Fallout cards. People want Lord of the Rings cards. I'm those people, for the record. But at the
Right.
same time, you can't, let your original like settings and planes and all these things that the Magic players have come to know and love over their time just kind of go to the wayside. And that's kind of seemed like what
Right.
it's been doing. Um, and it seems like next year's not really going to be any different. I see possibly 3 in universe expansions and 4 universe beyond,
Mhm.
like third party stuff. But I have
Right.
to admit, in a selfish way, I'm kind of excited because we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is awesome.
Nice.
I'm a huge
Nice.
TMNT fan. I like everything from the old arcade games all the way up to the last Ronin series, which is really really
Mhm.
cool.
It is.
Unfortunately, that mini series or movie that was coming out, the rated R one that everybody was excited about, is now indefinitely delayed.
Mm.
That doesn't mean it's dead forever, but it just means for whatever reason they're shelving that for
It's,
now.
yeah, it's shelved.
Um,
Yeah.
anyway, TMNT set is the first one, then the Hobbit, and then off of the back of the Spider-Man set, they're dropping a whole Marvel superhero set, which I imagine will be probably mostly the Avengers, but I'm hoping, Dad and I both are hoping maybe we get a Daredevil card or a Moon Knight card.
Night.
I would buy just the Daredevil card off eBay if they release him.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
and then later in the year, a Star Trek set, which, in my opinion, at first glance, I was like, well, I don't know. And then I thought about it. Edge of Eternities was a sick set, and which that was a in-universe Magic set. That was, it wasn't a third-party license or anything, and it was a sci-fi
Right.
set that came out not that long ago, like earlier this year, maybe I think.
Right.
And that set was probably my favorite original Magic set that's come out in a while. Um, and anyway, so it seems like they're sticking on the train of using licensing, which is fine. I mean,
Well,
they're gonna sell a
that
lot of tickets. It
that
is what
makes
it is.
a lot of sense because those properties, those IPs are hot. The Hobbit, we knew that was coming after the Lord of the Rings did so well. You knew that the Hobbit was going to
By the
drop at
way,
some
like
point.
according to TCG Player, like right now, like the Lord of the Rings sets that have come out, um,
Hmm.
they're still like collector booster boxes are still going for like thousands of dollars.
That's crazy.
So the Hobbit set, I'm sure it's going to focus around the Hobbit, but anything Tolkien related, I'm going to get at least a couple booster packs, probably a commander deck, just to have the characters in card form. I'm going to do it. Um, and they do have some in universe sets. Lorwyn is coming back. Lorwyn Eclipse. I know Lorwyn is one of the more favored in universe planes for people to visit in these expansions. And then later on in the year, Strixhaven, the Secrets of Strixhaven is coming out, which is another really fun plane to play in. There's one called Reality Fracture, which I'm assuming is an in-universe. I'm not familiar with the name. There's not a lot of
Yeah, not
info
really.
on the Wizards site. Um, but I will say, springboarding off of this topic into the next one, uh, if you're Wizards right now, you got to listen to your audience because while I'm excited for these third party sets, I call them third party, but universes beyond, whatever you want to call them, there's a lot of players that are saying, hey, this isn't really fixing the problems with the game right now. This isn't fixing the things that we don't like. You're kind of leaving behind your general audience here, and you're going after
Yeah.
these kind of casual fans, which I totally like. Look, I am a casual fan. I play these games very it's a tertiary hobby for me. I get the cards if I'm in a Target and I see them, I'll get them. I'm not like a hardcore player. I just went
Sure.
to my local game shop 2 weeks ago for the first time, literally ever, to pick up some cards. So
Hmm.
I am the casual guy that they're targeting with these.
Right.
Um, so yes, I'm excited, but also you should listen to the people that are living and breathing Magic because recently, Riot, as any gamers in the chat will know, we're talking League of Legends, Valorant. Um, I'm sure there's other games they make that I'm for Team Fight Tactics, stuff like that. Riot's a huge company. Um, they dropped their trading card game called RiftBound, which
Right.
is a trading card game based on the characters from League of Legends. If many people that don't even realize that they've stepped into this universe, if you've watched Arcane on Netflix, that's League of
Right.
Legends. That's the
Yeah.
characters. Um, so they have successful video games. They have a successful TV show, which is more than Wizards can say. Literally, I don't know ever. Uh,
Okay.
and now they're dropping this card game. It's easier to understand than Magic. It's taking a card out of our boy old Mana. He like
Right.
people like Magic for its complexity, but at times that complexity kind of adds up to making a insurmountable learning curve for new players to come in.
Right.
So
Right.
Riftbound is kind of there are like there is a skill ceiling and a skill floor. You have to understand basic things to start to play, but like I can't even imagine what keeps me out of Magic is like going to your local game store and trying to get into a game. That seems like something that is just more work than it's worth.
Yeah.
Whereas a game like Old Mana and a game like Riftbound from this giant company at Riot, it seems like it's very easy to do. The learning curve isn't as steep. There's a lot of things that make it kind of new player friendly, and they're listening to their fans. They're listening. They're like, "Hey, what do you not like about Magic? What keeps you not buying cards? What's going on?"
Yeah.
And they're using that feedback directly and printing cards just insanely fast. This game came out
Yeah.
not long ago, and they're already releasing their first expansion with like 240 new cards in it. Like,
Yeah.
and other games, like I mean, might not be a direct comparison to Magic, but I will say I have some of these too. Disney's the Lorcana game. That I obviously the Disney IP is every single cartoon you've ever seen now, including Marvel, and that game
Yeah.
is also significantly easier to understand and to get into, and it's literally engineered for younger kids to get into it because they know these characters just by looking at them. And then there's even games like structured game styles in Lorcana and also in Riftbound that are 2v2 and like 4v4 for team play. So that also takes another thing that Magic kind of doesn't do well, which is like if you don't want to do 1v1 PvP, Magic's really not for you. Well, now
Right.
these other games that are directly competing with Magic are doing it. And if you have another year like you've had the last couple years where a lot of people I know that are huge Magic fans are disenfranchised with your model in terms of what you're releasing, And then there's two other card games, and in my opinion, three with Old Mana, which not a lot of people know about, but I can't wait to shout it from the rooftop when I have some of these
Yeah.
cards in my hand.
Yeah.
Magic really has to start listening to their players. You cannot just ignore them
Okay.
and cash in on the IPs that you get the licenses for. You have to understand, like, yes, Magic is, it's this, like, too large to fail card company, in my opinion, by Wizards, where it's like, well, we're always going to have Magic fans. So if we release the Hobbit set, if we release the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set, and people are mad that we put out a SpongeBob SquarePants set on Secret Lair, who gives a shit? We're Magic. We're too big to fail. That might
And
not be a
that's
thing.
part of the problem. That's part of the problem, right? Is success kind of if you don't learn from other people's mistakes,
Mm,
success can lead you to basically
false sense of security.
false sense of security.
Yeah.
You feel like everything you do is going to is be successful and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a cash cow. And if you don't listen to your core base,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to at some point you're going to misstep.
Yeah.
And the problem is if you misstep, how badly do you misstep? And if you do misstep, can you recover?
Right.
And lots of companies and lots of games have made those mistakes before.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when I started playing Magic way back in the day, I got into it because some of the people at my D&D table were like, oh, have you tried this game Magic? Oh, I haven't even heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is back before the internet was a big thing and everybody spent all their time on the internet. But
Mm-hmm.
it was basically word of mouth and what you found out at the game store. And I picked up, a few booster packs and some card sets, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'll play. And I remember showing up that first time when they had a Magic event at the shop, and there was a lot of gatekeeping. I mean, you
Oh
had a
yeah.
lot of people that had been playing a lot longer than I had. Nobody was a novice player. They were all, had been playing for months, if not a year or more,
Mm-hmm.
and all of them had customized decks. And I remember when I sat down, I got destroyed in like 15 minutes. Just the guy wiped me out. And thought it was funny that I'm playing with a random deck instead of having a custom built deck. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, well, how would I know to do that unless somebody who has more experience kind of takes me under their wing and
By the
teaches
way,
me, or teaches me.
it's gotten no better, and if anything, it might even be worse now. Like,
And see, there's gatekeeping in every game,
sure,
and
sure.
that's kind of one of the things that led us to do what we're doing now,
Yep.
is to let people know there are supportive people out there in the community that will help you,
Mm-hmm.
that will educate you, that will kind of give you tutelage or take you under their wing and give you the advantage of their experience,
Sure.
so that you don't run into these things.
Yeah, and one thing I will
I've
add
run
is
into gatekeeping. I've run into gatekeeping with D&D, and
right.
I've played D&D for decades. Yet when I first moved here to the Atlanta area, when we first got together, we'd never played 5e in our lives. We sat down at a table and we basically, it was a group of players that had been playing together since like third edition, and they were younger than us, about 15, 20 years younger than we are. But they were just the worst gatekeepers. They would not engage with us at the table. They definitely did not engage with us away from the table.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just made to feel completely unwelcome. And then they just ghosted us one day. We showed up for like the fifth session or something. They just, none of them showed up. They wouldn't return our texts. And we finally got the message and we just gave up.
Yeah.
But, so you run
Yeah.
into that in every game. And it's just, the adage is people are people, right?
Yeah, I
And,
mean,
and
well, in
people
games as
pretty
old as
much suck.
Magic are just definitely prone to that because it's just been out longer. So a
Yeah.
lot of the people that are seeing the success of these newer games are just like, oh, it's new, just give it time. Well, in my
Yeah.
opinion, if you tackle that early and you try to you make it a point to hopefully not make the community kind of more apt to that, hopefully it's better. I will say Magic nowadays you have Magic Arena, which is it's an app on your phone. It's literally a game. Also on PC where you can play against players. There's like a skill rating where it's only going to match you up with other new players. There's
Right.
also AI that you can play against. You play the game, you win. Like it's all virtual. It's virtual versions of the cards, but it is a way to learn without going to your game shop and being like having a nerd. Like you walk in, everyone's staring at you. Everyone's way better at the game than you.
Yeah.
That's a pretty daunting thing to have, especially if you're a kid. Um,
Yeah.
having I remember you driving me to Richmond Comics to play HeroClix, and I was like, I was into it. I knew what I was doing, and I was still like, it's still a shock to walk in there and like there's this stranger that's playing against you now, and you're
Yeah.
like, it's a lot, especially for younger kids and even people that are older that don't necessarily like that competitive side of it. Um, and where I was going to springboard from there is, Magic kind of has that arena if you have a phone and a PC and all the things you need to interact with that. It would be interesting to see if D&D could get that. Some like
Yeah.
way
Well, they've
I
got the Adventurers League,
Yeah, which
and
is it
yeah,
seems like they're noticing that lack of, because the
yeah,
D and D is very much a game that's like it is intimidating to look at and to
oh,
be
yeah,
like there's literally a lifetime's worth of material and
yeah.
information. And if you're new, like a lot of my friends, when I've tried to be like, yo, my dad's a DM, let's play, and like they're like, dude, I wouldn't even know where to begin. And
Well, and that's why you have that session
well,
zero
and
with Tom.
like you would make it easy, but like if they don't have you, if I'm not like, hey, my dad will do it, he'll walk you through
Yeah,
everything. It's nothing to worry about. You know, like my buddy Josh really wants to play. I might actually be able to get him to play,
yeah,
and we would have you do it. But he's like, dude, I've had friends that have asked me, and he'll like go to the shop with them, and he's like, yo, I just walk in, and basically they're like, well, what do you know? And he's like, nothing, and they're like, well, I'm not, you know, it's like he's
this isn't the
wasting their
table
time.
for
Like
you. Yeah.
he's wasting their time just like trying to be engaged.
And
Um,
so you can't do that. And I
mhm.
mean, because this hobby, it's on that quivering edge, right? It could go. It's more popular now with the advent of like Critical Role and
Sure.
Stranger Things, which the new season of Stranger Things is out, and I don't think they even mentioned D&D, but
Not
you
really.
know, those things have really kind of mainstream D&D in a way it never had before. But when I go to a game shop, I can see 30 tables at like Level Up Games over in Duluth, right?
Mhm.
I go in there, and of those 30 tables, 25 of those tables are board games and card games.
Mhm.
Okay, that's where the money is. That's what most people are playing. I'll see 5 tables where they're playing a combination of BattleTech, Warhammer, and
Mhm.
then you might have one table where somebody's playing D&D.
Yeah.
And if they're playing D&D, 9 times out of 10, if you show an interest in joining, they'll tell you, well, the table's full.
Mhm.
And, so you're just kind of brushed off.
Yeah.
So there's a little gatekeeping going on there. So, I mean, it's hard as a new player to find a venue in which you can play and finding
Right.
a group. There are online resources, and I strongly encourage people, if that's the outlet you have, to pursue those. But there's nothing that beats the experience of actually being at the table playing live with people. It
Yeah, I
really
will
is.
say, you know,
Not,
as everybody knows on here, you know, I am a video game guy. Just because, honestly, the reason I am is because it's the accessibility, right? You know,
right.
we finally get the kiddo down. I've got some free time. I'm gonna walk downstairs and play whatever game I want, and I can get on a headset and talk to my dad, my friends, whoever. But there is something very different about getting in the car, freezing your ass off, driving to a game shop, driving to your buddy's house, sitting down there
Mm-hmm.
and playing, eating pizza until 2 a.m. and doing the damn thing. There's
Yeah.
just something different about it. I understand. Maybe as a kid, I'm like, dude, I'll just play video games. What are you talking about? And as I get older and older, I understand more and more that there is something that is it's a necessity to go out, get outside of your home, get outside of your comfort zone, and meet up with these people and have an experience in the real world with them. Even though you're role
Yeah.
playing, it is a different experience when you're in person,
It is.
seeing
It
it.
really is.
You know, it is different. And like I said, when I was younger, maybe I didn't really understand it, and I do now. Um,
Yeah.
but kind of to close out this conversation, I do think Wizards right now is in a very pivotal spot because like you on the card front, Magic has always been just this clear flagship that nobody can touch, and now they have more
Mhm.
competition. I would argue more than ever in terms
Right.
of just. I mean, you have the smaller card games that aren't as well known, but with
Beauty of
Riot
Kickstarter.
dropping Riftbound and Flesh and Blood is gaining popularity, which
Yeah.
the only reason I know what that card game is because I'm a nerd. But that card game is getting bigger and bigger. Lorcana's
Yeah.
huge. And then I would say on the other end of the spectrum, in tabletop, you know, Path of Exile, um, Pathfinder, it has always
Mhm.
had its own kind of cult following.
Right.
But with Daggerheart dropping, that is the clearest cannonball over your bow that I've ever seen at Wizards in terms of,
Yeah.
and they have close ties, obviously Critical Role, you know, but this is a large, already overwhelmingly popular IP now that is a direct challenger to Dungeons and Dragons. It's the biggest I've ever seen. The reason I know that is because I'm in Target and I'm seeing um, Daggerheart merch and player
Yeah.
handbooks and stuff because Critical Role is a household name. I've
Well,
never
it is,
seen
and
anything Pathfinder related anywhere other than a game shop.
And adding to that juggernaut, they have their own publishing company,
Yeah.
so they don't have to make deals with anybody else.
Right.
And then you bring in Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins, the
Yeah.
two lead game designers, the two top guys
Mm-hmm.
at Wizards of the Coast leave, and within a couple of weeks have signed on
Yeah.
with Critical Role and
Yeah.
Darrington
It
Press.
is a very
So,
clear, like, the paradigm shift is obvious. Where I think if they have another year where they're just selling out the Magic, their catalog for the next year for 2026. I mean, if what they have on their website I'm looking at right now is right, there's 4 outside of universe expansions and possibly
yep,
3, maybe not even 3 in universe, which
right.
is another year of people that complained this year. They have nothing really to look forward to next year. I do feel
Mhm.
bad that I'm excited for some of these, but I am not a, Magic super, very hyper fixated on Magic. Really, I just kind of collect cards. If I think they're cool, I'm gonna get them.
Yeah.
But I do think, in the next year, in the next couple of years, more likely, I do think they're gonna have to start. They're gonna have to switch gears here, because they have more competition in every single aspect. Video games, I feel like, the WotC license hasn't been relevant in years. The car, Magic has just been their
Well,
moneymaker,
that's the
and
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
and now it's like I don't see any field of battle here where they are clearly going to win even without any effort. I think that there's going to be some losses on this side, and that's kind of what a lot of this episode I was thinking about talking about is, you know, I mean, you're playing Daggerheart right now. I mean, did you ever? I mean, you're playing not Dungeons and Dragons for. I mean, I know you
Well,
play a lot of games because you know a lot of
Well, I
stuff.
play a lot of games. I play a lot of games, but the biggest reason we chose Daggerheart was, I mean, there's a couple reasons. The biggest reason was we were playing, because I'm a paid dungeon master.
Mm.
So I'm going to basically go in whatever
What people want.
direction the wind blows.
Hmm.
If they want to play Star Trek, we'll play Star Trek. If they want to play Star Wars, we'll play Star Wars. If they want to play Star Frontiers, I'll play whatever
Well,
they want to
that
play.
even that even cements my
But
point even more. Is like
yeah,
players are saying Daggerheart.
yeah. Yeah,
Not dungeon
and
masters.
the biggest reason is, one of my players at the table. She's a critter. She
Hmm.
is a huge fan of Critical Role. She's watched every episode, every live stream from a convention they do. I mean, she is basically the epitome of a critter, and that's fine.
Hmm.
And when she caught wind of, Daggerheart, she asked me about it, and I said, well, I haven't really given it much thought. And I said, well, book's out. Let me pick up a copy of the book,
Hmm.
and I did, and I've been reading through it. And I mean, there are good things about it. There are things about it I'm not really a big fan of, but
Yeah.
you know, there are always, with every game I play, like I said in the last episode, there's always something I could take from that game and add to my tool belt to make
Hmm.
my game better, regardless of what game I'm running.
Yeah, for you it's
Um,
kind of irrelevant to be honest. I mean, you can
yeah,
you're kind of like you can pull information from everywhere and build your own
I mean,
world
I
and
could.
your own lore. I mean, so really the game what's on the front of the handbook is irrelevant for you. I do
Yeah,
think it's indicative of a shift, and I think Wizards should be careful. I
it should
hope
be
nothing
working.
but the best. I hope Magic goes forever. I hope D&D is more popular next year than it is this year. I hope a video game comes out, Forgotten Realms MMO. Please make it, and I'll write for you for free. Like just
Yeah,
whatever. But like I do think if they're not paying attention, I think it's pretty ignorant. I have to imagine they're paying attention. But
I would hope so. I'm hoping it's not complacency, and I'm hoping it's not. D&D is the world's most popular role playing game. Well, it is, but how much of that is because it's been around for 50 years? How much
I
of that is
I would argue a
because
lot of it. I mean I would think a
how
lot of
much
it.
of it how much of it is because of the movies? How much of it is because of Critical Role making it mainstream? How much of
Hmm.
it is because it's on Stranger Things? Um, the Satanic Panic added to that. The movie Mazes and Monsters um, added to it with Tom Hanks.
Hmm.
Which is based on a true story. Um, there's all kinds of things that add to that formula that make it,
Yeah.
almost household
It
word.
was
Uh,
synonymous with tabletop game. Like
yeah,
when you said it, you were talking about Dungeons and Dragons.
yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, when you said TTRPG,
that's what
the
you're
first
talking
thing
about.
that came to
Yeah.
people's
And,
minds
and
was
and
Dungeons and Dragons.
admittedly, when I say it, that is what I'm talking about. I mean, when I
Yeah.
think of fantasy, it's two things. It is Tolkien, 100%, and if it's not
Hmm.
Tolkien, it is Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter, Kobolds, I mean, because that's just what I grew up with. Beholders. I mean, I mean, that's just how it is. Um,
Yeah.
but 15 years from now, there might be a whole new generation of tabletop guys that are like, oh, whatever, that sounds cool, Boomer. I'm talking about this thing in Daggerheart. That's what I think about.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought it was an interesting topic. I mean, it was
Yeah.
started out as a Magic discussion, and then it's kind of transitioned into kind of the overall, like a
We
macro
went down a
level.
rabbit hole, but that's fine.
That's what we do.
Um,
But
but you know what we do? But we were talking about Daggerheart. You've
yeah,
got some Kickstarter news.
yeah. There's two campaigns I found on Daggerheart that look really fun. One of them, me and Dad love Christmas, and just kind of jumping on Kickstarter, looking through Daggerheart stuff, just kind of as supplemental info for Dad. I did find a holiday themed one shot called Assault on Santa's Workshop, which looks hilarious. Um,
It does look good.
I will say the PDF level is only $10. It's designed for starting characters, so maybe not for Dad and his current setup here because his characters are already kind of moving along a little bit. It is designed to be a single session. There's side quests and encounters that they have in the PDF that you can extend your session if you want to play longer. It looks like a relatively lighthearted, holiday themed Daggerheart campaign, which last year Dad's been known to play holiday theme Halloween stuff. So if there's any DMs out there looking to maybe start a Daggerheart campaign in a less serious capacity, maybe just
Might be
dip
the
your
way to
feet
do it.
in, maybe do a holiday theme. And if your players are like, I didn't really love that, well, at least it was only a $10 investment for a one shot, and then you can
Yeah.
move on, right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
that's a little easier to swallow than getting the player's handbook, getting this, starting a whole thing, and then being like, wow, none of my players like this. I got to revert back. I spent $300.
Yeah.
Um, on a more serious note, there is a larger expansion, I guess, module for Daggerheart called the Dungeons of Drakkenheim, which looks.
Yeah.
This project looks very fleshed out, very professional. Not that the Santa's Workshop didn't, but this is definitely more geared towards real, like higher level characters moving through a campaign, a possible entire encounter that lasts multiple sessions. Um, there's a beta right now for this campaign on Kickstarter, which is very cool if you just kind of want to check it out a little bit, maybe grab some character design from there if you want to put it in your game. It looks like they have everything from digital tier for about $30 all the way up to hardcover books. It is a level 1 to 10 sandbox campaign, but you can probably adjust it for however you want to play it.
Yep.
They're talking about adding 40 new encounter or enemy encounters, 30 new what they're calling contaminated domain cards. So I guess kind
Yep.
of modified domain cards for your ancestry and classes there, and then
Yeah.
20 new locations to play in.
Yeah.
This
There's
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a great setting. For those who aren't aware, the Dungeons of Drakkenheim come from the minds of the Dungeon Dudes.
Hmm.
They are YouTube creators, and they are longtime D&D players. And they both of the guys over there are DMs and players. And they launched a Kickstarter that was very popular and very successful for the Dungeons of Drakkenheim, which was a setting that came from their campaign table, and it was basically their own homebrew world.
Hmm.
It's basically there is this contaminated material that has been discovered that it corrupts everything it touches.
Hmm.
People, places, animals, plants, you name it.
Yeah, very
And
Lovecraftian, eldritch
yeah,
horror style.
very Lovecraftian
Hmm.
kind of horror themes to it. So it was a fun watch. I watched a couple of their live play games. It was fun. Um, I did not back their Dungeons of Drakkenheim Kickstarter because at the time I just had too many irons in the fire.
Hmm.
But very happy for their success. I'm glad to see that they've got another Kickstarter coming out, and I wish them all the best with it. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, if you
I
want to
don't know
talk
if I'll
about
back this either, but
yeah, if you want to talk about kind of having your ear to the ground in terms of where the hype is right now, I mean, if you go on Kickstarter right now and put in Daggerheart, it is crazy. I mean,
yeah.
we're talking.
Sorry, my camera's wobbling because my dog hit the stand.
Oh, it's okay. We're talking, just crazy amounts of people. I mean, the passion. It's very obvious. Where's people passion at? It is in Daggerheart right now. It is the big name in the game right now. People are making tons of modules for it, campaigns for it, miniatures for it, all the way from the Kickstarter level, indie projects up to the larger scale, bigger manufacturing. It's all there. So
Yeah.
those are the two things I would shout out that I just saw kind of perusing Kickstarter the other day, looking for stuff for Dad.
Yeah. So we want to jump into some games, movie, and pop culture news. Um, I think we all saw this one coming,
Yep.
but Funko has announced that that their product is no longer sustainable,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're basically going to be shutting down operations. Steven, you got a little more news for us on that?
Yeah, it just seems like they're basically saying they're going to sell what they have, that the business model is not sustainable anymore, and that, maybe the name Funko will not die, but it will be a much different, uh, it'll be a much different business model for them. And I think the writing was on the wall. Dad and I kind of spoke about this a little bit, but it just seems like, when Funko, it's not a special thing to see anymore. You go in every
Yeah,
store, it's in every store. They have
yeah,
every pop music star, country music stars. They have,
yeah,
YouTube creators all the way up to fantasy creatures, sci-fi stuff. I mean, it's everything, and it's like it's almost
yeah.
like there's so much supply, there cannot possibly be that much demand.
Demand,
So
yeah,
they've kind of shot themselves in the foot, and it just seems like they expanded so fast and wanted to do so much. I mean, it's not even just pops anymore. They've got little, Funko soda bottles that have characters
yeah.
inside of
They've
them.
got
Yeah,
keychains,
it's
they've got
everything.
dioramas. I mean, you
It's
name it.
everything, and it's like,
And it's the case of when is enough enough? And I think they went right past that and kept going down the road, all gas, no
yeah. I mean,
brakes.
they've got
And
like athletes and stuff. I think it should have stayed around pop culture. It should have stayed around, nerdy culture stuff. And it should
yeah,
have been kind of that thing where like maybe some stores have it, game shops have it, like GameStop would have it, and
yeah,
like that's it. Because like it just
that's
seems
right.
like when it became mainstream, it was like it lost like why the whole point of it. And then it's like,
Yeah,
well, why collect this? Why not go to like Big Bad Toy Store and collect like McFarlane figures or something
yeah.
more high quality that will maintain its value? Um,
Well, so the biggest thing for me is they take up a lot of space.
they do,
And
yeah, they do.
space for me is kind of at a premium. I'm trying, as I get older, I'm trying to downsize a little bit and not have so much to have to move if I have to move again,
Mm-hmm.
or to leave for my son to have to fool with if I pass away. But I've got about 8 Funkos, and all of them are special to me. 2 of them were given to me by the apprentice. So I've got a War Duke one, which is amazing. I've got a Icing Death White Dragon one that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He got me a Lich one, which is pretty cool. I have one of Lenny Kilmister from
Mm-hmm.
Motorhead, which was a tribute to him when he passed away, and then I have one for BB-8 from Star Wars. My wife got me years ago, and then I have one for the Fallout Power Armor.
Yeah.
That's all I have, and I've seen plenty that were, hey, these are neat, hey, these are interesting, especially some of the D&D ones or some of the Fallout ones. But then I'm like, I just don't have a lot of room,
Yeah.
and I have one shelf now that have all of my Funkos on it at the top of my bookshelf, and that's where they are, and that's where they stay. And I have been to people's houses. I'm looking at my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, my wife's sister and her husband. They have 4 bookshelves in their house that are full of Funkos,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have a pile of Funkos piled up against the wall. They probably have 400 or 500 Funkos, and I'm just like, why?
Yeah, it's
I
it's a
mean,
lot.
that's a lot. And I mean, I get it. If you like it, you like it. You collect it, you collect it. That's great. But to your point, I mean, there's a Funko now for everything. And it used to be they were special. You had to go to specialized dealers to get them,
Mm-hmm.
or you had to go online to get them. Now you walk into any store that sells comics or books or toys, you're going to find Funko Pops.
Yep.
And they've got a Funko for everything and every occasion.
Yep.
And if they have one in color, they've also got one probably in black and white or
Yep.
psychedelic colors or what have you. And I think they just saturated the market and they became their own worst enemy. And now they can't sell them. I mean, I was talking to the apprentice earlier when I went to Dragon Con. I still go to Dragon Con now, but when I go to Dragon Con now, probably 20% of the dealers in the dealer hall, which is 4 levels, have Funkos at their table. And some of them, 2 or 3 dealers, that's all they sell at Dragon Con are Funkos.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed this year, this past September when we went, they weren't doing the business that they used to. Back when they first kind of invaded Dragon Con at the height of the Funko craze, you'd have 2, maybe 3 vendors that would have them, but they only had the high dollar ones.
Mm-hmm.
Now you see people bringing in everything, just trying to move stock, and it's kind of sad because it just, like you said, saturated the market and you can't move them now. There's
Yeah.
there's far more supply than there is demand, and
Mm-hmm.
so this is probably what's driving this for Funko to either restructure or just do away with. But we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah, they might have to
so I can see it.
go back to what they were doing originally. You know, maybe just make way
Just do
less
some
of them.
special announcements.
Yeah,
Do some special
and
announcements.
they'll
Like just
never have anywhere close to the success that they've had recently, or in past years. But
I
I
don't
mean,
think so.
if it's gonna keep the business alive, I guess you got to do what you got to do. You know.
Got to do what you got to do. So, um, in other news, Mighty Nine is out on Amazon Prime.
Hmm.
I have watched the first episode. I've got to get caught up, but we want to talk a little bit about that. The Apprentice has not seen it yet,
I've seen,
but it
yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I started episode one, got like 10 minutes in, and then had to run out the door to do something. But
it's a good show. It's a good series. Same animation people behind it. Same animation team that was behind Vox Machina.
mm,
So not a lot of change there. So it's a very familiar style that everybody that enjoyed Vox Machina will see. The characters are very different. The people are all playing very different characters from what they played in the last series, and it's that to me is kind of refreshing that there isn't like a cut and paste of like original characters just to hit while the iron is hot. But it's I like it. I
mm-hmm.
enjoy it. I did not watch the entire series when it was live played by Critical Role. I kind of tuned out probably 3 or 4 episodes in, just because one time is pretty important to me now. But secondly, I just I'm not. I can't watch 3 hours where it's mostly a shopping episode.
Right.
The cartoon is going to basically hit the highlights,
Mm-hmm.
trim the fat, and give you the adventure and the action, and that's what we're looking for. So
Yep.
I think it's a much better format for it. I know the critters are out there sending me death mails right now, but that's fine. I mean, it's not for everybody, people. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
Well,
the series is good. The cartoon is good. So
I would argue that it's kind of like baseball, right? Where like going to a baseball game and playing baseball is fun. Watching baseball on TV sucks. I don't care who
yeah,
you are. That's how. I mean, no. If you like watching baseball on TV, don't tell anybody because that is serial killer behavior. That's so weird. I don't understand it.
well,
But
we just got 13 people unsubscribed, so
that's fine.
that's
They're
fine.
yeah. They don't vote if they watch baseball. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The
So, how about the news front, Steven, on games? What do we got?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to bore everybody, but Deadlock still rocks. If you play Bebop, you're scum of the earth, and I hope you never, ever see me in real life. But other games that have come out, I was looking into more tabletop, like focused video games, just because
Mhm.
that's kind of our bread and butter here. Not, we do a lot of things, but tabletop is kind of what we focus on. And Demeo is they kind of run a bunch of different simulation tabletop games, and they just released their Dungeons and Dragons crossover game on the 20th. Reviews look good. It looks exactly how you would picture it. I mean, imagine it's a simulation of tabletop, but when you are in combat or talking with people, it is animated. So like when you're a
Right.
character. But what I do like about it though, um, like I like a game called War Tales, which is a simulation, like it's a tabletop simulated game, but it's fully animated. So when you're in turn based, it's kind of like an action game. Whereas Demeo, like you see your miniature of your character. If you hit somebody, your miniature will like swing and hit them. So it's not like
Right.
fully animated in the sense that like it's like a cutscene.
Right.
It actually you're still kind of immersed in the tabletop nature of the game. Um,
Yeah.
that game seems to be doing pretty well. It's relatively cheap. My buddy and I might pick it up and play through it just to kind of see what it's about. And then in that same realm, by Dreamhaven, there's a game called Sunderfolk, which looks a lot more in tune with something like a Daggerheart, a Red Wall, where there's like character races that are like animalistic, or like a bear, like you can be like a rabbit or something like that. That game
Mhm.
looks a lot more action packed. It is its own IP, so they kind of go far out with it. I'll insert images and videos in our podcast here. That game looks like a lot of fun. As of right now on Steam, it has overwhelmingly positive reviews, which, if you know anything about video games these days, that's pretty rare anymore. Um, so people are loving that game. People are already clamoring for more content there, which is always a good sign. I'm probably going to pick up both of those on Steam Cyber Monday sales and play through them. But just if you're looking for a tabletop simulated fantasy game, turn-based, kind of old schooly, those games are out. They're both relatively recent, and they're both doing really, really well. So I wanted to shout
Good.
those out while we had a moment here.
Yeah, I have to check those out.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll move us into the bonus loot
Bonus
area of
loot.
this podcast. Bonus loot. So who doesn't like loot, right? So Steven was asking me about DM's Guide to Christmas.
Yep.
We did that on the last one. He was asking me some more questions. Is there any other gifts that we can think of to stuff into a stocking for your local DM or game enthusiast? We talked about this a little bit, and we gave you some gift ideas. But I can tell you right now, me as a DM, the one thing that I always need and I never have enough of
Mm-hmm.
is miniatures.
Yep.
Miniatures are worth their weight in gold because of the fact that if you play tabletop in person and you use maps or you use terrain, you're always going to need miniatures.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to, if I know that I'm going to be doing a certain theme game, like we're going to fight a dragon, then I'll probably purchase a dragon miniature. Or if we're going to fight a beholder, I'll get a beholder miniature if I don't already have one.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to put actual representations on the table of what it is my party's facing. That way there's no question about what they're up against. So miniatures to me, I've always told people, if you want to buy me something, give me a gift card to the local game store, or you can purchase some miniatures, and here's a whole laundry list of the ones I do not have. So those are with the Wizards of the Coast miniatures. You can get those if you buy most of them are like double packs, like 2 packs or even 3 packs sometimes. Like goblins are 3 or 4 to a pack. Orcs are like 2 to a pack. If you buy dwarfs, they're like 2 to a pack. So you can only get a couple of miniatures for like anywhere between $6 and $8. So pretty inexpensive gift. So those are always great for your DM or your game enthusiast. I would say that there's other things you can get them, like if they want a miniature of their very own for a character that they love or enjoy, you could get them a Hero Forge gift card.
Yeah, Hero Forge is great. We've shown kind of us playing with that before. It's actually unbelievable, and they're always updating it too. It's unbelievable what that thing can do.
There's so much flexibility in that model, and you can get pre-painted miniatures if you want, where they use the colored plastic to do them. And they look great. 2 of the players at my table, well, actually 4 of the players at my table had them for my last D&D game, and they looked really great. I just had to be careful because sometimes they're a little fragile. I know one guy who was playing the paladin broke his spear arm off and never could get it to set back right with glue. So you just have to be careful with them. But that's a fun gift for people. Another thing that's fun for them is maybe looking into, like, they used to have these old books that were like Mad Libs. They called them Mad Libs. Well, they actually have Mad Libs for Dungeons and Dragons, which are fun. My wife and I picked up one of those at a lark at a like a Dollar General store. They had them for like, I think, $2 or $3, and we played that going down the road, where we would take turns writing in, the adjectives, the nouns, or whatever, then reading the little short story back to each other, and that was a lot of fun. So that's another gift idea for people.
Yeah, I'll throw in a couple that I've just seen or thought of. I mean, most of my gifts kind of revolve around adding a tactile and tangible thing to your tabletop that might not be initially like something you would think of as adding to a game. Actually, I saw it today. I've seen, I'm sure if you've been on Instagram or TikTok, you've probably seen it too, but people with these little projectors that are projecting backgrounds on like their wall of like a castle or something. Well, I saw somebody today had it like mounted up on their wall and pivoted it down to a game table and would project a 2D plane with a grid, so like you could play your miniatures on it.
I've seen those.
I've seen those things on like online going for like $40, and you could just grab like any kind of screen capture of a 2D like gridded system if you're playing with miniatures, and even if you're not, if you just want kind of a, like, you could show your players this is roughly the layout of this town, or this is what it looks like, or that's a pretty cheap way to kind of amplify a session. Another thing that's kind of it sounds like a no-brainer, but I've just from what outside of Dad, me playing at, or even being at a game shop and seeing people play, why not have you can buy, like, from Cold Steel, you can buy like little daggers or little weapons or any kind of prop. I mean, I'm not saying sharpen a knife and hand it to somebody, but what I am saying is if you're like, hey, you found this dagger, you found this knife, you found this piece of jewelry, and like handing it to somebody. I mean, in my opinion, you could buy like kind of like go to Party City and get cheap props, and that way at your table you could have like, hey, you're looking for this guy, and here's this satchel that you found, and put a bunch of shit in there that you got from Party City for like nothing, and that person can actually in character pick it up and look through it, and if you have enough time as a DM to prep it, like maybe put a handwritten note in there that gives them a clue, or a piece of jewelry that might have a gem in it that like, oh, that means that he was in this local temple. We got to go there, and that kind of like, for me at least, for new players to really get a feel of the game and kind of get immersed in the game. Like if you don't play a lot, your imagination can't fill in a lot of these blanks for you. So if you can give
Right.
somebody something that they can feel and see and interact with, again, go to Party City, go to Walmart,
Mhm.
buy a cheap, costume knife, or maybe even a real one if you're cool like me and you want a real dagger. Why not? Just have something that they can mess with, look at, feel, because that experience is going to stick out to them. Then,
Yeah.
rather than you just kind of explaining, oh, it's a knife with a red gem in the hilt. Well, shit, everybody's
Yeah.
seen that. So it's
Yeah.
like, but why not? You hand it to them. Here you go, and like, boom.
Yeah.
Now that
Props.
memory's in that player's mind forever. Like, I
I'm a
felt
big
that
fan of
knife.
I'm a big fan of props, and I like props at the table, handwritten notes on, parchment that looks aged, or
Yeah, yeah,
or
it's awesome.
or yeah, those are fun. I've done the thing with a necklace where I actually went. It was I think it was Party City where I bought something that was like costume jewelry,
Mm-hmm.
and I handed it to the player and I said, "Okay, this is what you found in the coffer," and it's this big heavy silver chain with this amulet on it. Things like that kind of get you the oohs and ahs at the table, and especially if you're a paid DM, players want to see that investment's going into something. So I try to put at least the majority of the money that I get from a paid game back into the game in the form of miniatures, terrain, props, things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that goes a long way. So, but we wanted to talk too about, were there any in-universe holidays in Faerun, the
Mm-hmm.
Forgotten Realms, that emulate Christmas and Thanksgiving? And of course there are. There is High Harvest, which is basically mirrors Thanksgiving. It takes place between the end of Elent, which is September, and Markbanoth, which is October. And basically, what it is, it's a feasting holiday where the folks of Faerun get together and they celebrate the harvest and the abundance of food.
Mm-hmm.
So, very much like the Thanksgiving holiday tradition that we have here in the United States. There's also Midwinter, which is similar to Christmas. That takes place around the last day of Hammer, which is in December, and the first of Alturiok. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. At Greenwood, please forgive me. Which is January. It's not a single holiday, but it's a collection of different festivals from around the realms where they basically will celebrate a holiday tradition of gift giving,
Mm-hmm.
and basically kind of kind of celebrating the pass of the longest night of winter as they start to make their way back towards spring.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like to me it kind of pulls from like the Christian holiday and the pagan holiday a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
kind of combines them, and which is kind of neat because I mean the Forgotten Realms is kind of a mixed bag of cultures and traditions and stuff. So
Yeah.
I try to relay that at my table when my players are playing. Different towns do things differently. In this town he's a mayor. In this town he's the chieftain. In this town he's
Mm-hmm.
the elder. Things like that to kind of give them a feel of cultural shift as they go from town to town to kind of separate those things. So,
And last
but
question, bonus question: is there
mhm.
any encounters or creatures that only come out during midwinter?
I don't know of any right off the top of my head, but I know that I have done some creatures for like special one-shot, holiday-themed one-shots and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. But I mean, there's always creatures that you could say maybe they only come. Like you could do like a Grinch-like character
Like a
who's
Krampus
like
style?
like a Krampus style character. I
Yeah.
did Krampus one year, but when we did Krampus as a holiday one shot, it was actually set in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
My players played themselves, and they were invited to a dinner party, which was a castle that was rebuilt and brought over brick by brick from Europe and rebuilt. And they had the coffin. They had basically a sarcophagus where Krampus had been trapped by the church,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the people that were invited, including my player characters, were all people that had wronged this lady who had come into this fortune, had bought the castle, and had moved over, and then she unleashed Krampus on them.
That's
So
awesome. Shout out
it
Krampus
was
the movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. If you
a
haven't
great
seen it,
movie.
that's crazy because it's probably one of the best monster designs in recent memory. It's incredible.
And Krampus festivals going on over in Germany right
Yep.
now. So
Yep.
yeah, that's good stuff. So that's where we're going to wrap up this episode of the MazeCast episode number 12.
Mm-hmm.
We are glad that you guys could join us. We hope that you liked this content. And if you did, please give us a like. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. please share with your friends and get the word about our little corner of the universe out there so that we can have more people join us here and hopefully grow this product and get it out to more people, because we would love to have all of your participation.
Yep.
So, with that, we will leave you. We bid you good night, and until we see you next time back here in the maze.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody.